Hello and a warm welcome from Lee Anthony Davis here on my YouTube channel. Today, or shall I say the early hours of the morning, I'm sorry, I do apologise for being late. I've been very busy on Twitter and Facebook and sorting out some other groups. So anyway, this is my Doctor Who Super Quiz, as you didn't know. This is part 4. And this is with the answers. So I'll give you the questions and the answers to go with it. So if you've got your pen and paper handy, we'll start off right away. Let's get on with it, shall we? Remember yesterday I asked a question on what links these, and I'm going to give you the question first and obviously the answer second. Remember, this is questions 61 to 80, so I've got one more quiz to go before that's the end of it, because then I've done 5 of them. So they're all done in 5 parts, 100 questions. So let's get on with it, yeah? So you got your pen and paper handy? Well, it's top lock in it. I want to get on. It's about nearly 2:15. This should have gone out at 6 o'clock in the evening, but unfortunately, like I said, I got bogged down with so much going on. So I'm going to get on with it. So let's get on with the question. Right, question 1. What links these or shall I say, what connects these or links these? I'll read them out. A stolen spaceship, some nuns who teach martial arts, a type of spearmint, and a creature that hilariously should never be trusted with. I had trouble saying this. A perigosto stick. So if you know what that is, then you understand what I'm talking about. And the answer, what links them, is they're all Venetian, the spaceship from Nikola Tesla, Night of the Terrors, and the nuns mentioned in the Ghost Monument, and spearmint in the Shakespeare Code, and a shang horn in the Green Death. So that's what links them all. Right, moving on to question 2. A machine for, this is what links all these. A machine for the conversion and transmission of energy, a rocket controlled by a robot, a group of old age pensioners, and Jack's description of Graham. The answer is silver. That's right, they are all silver. The Silver Lady from both parts of Spyfall, the Silver Carrier from The Will in Space, the Silver Cloak from The End of Time, and the Silver Fox in what Captain Jack Harkness had a nickname for Graham in obviously the Fugitive of the Judoon. He referenced it there. So anyway, never mind. Moving on to question 3. What links these? A tour guide, an alchemist's daughter, an isolated monstrosity, and an old, shall I say, yeah, and an erstwhile lady, I think that says. I can't read me writing. Erstwhile lady. And the answer is, for question 3, what links them all, is they're all called Ruth. Ruth Clayton from Fugitive of the Judoon. She's the fugitive doctor, apparently, according to Chris Chibnall. Ruth Maxwell from The Evil the Daleks, played by Bridget Forsyth, if you ever watched that black and white episode with Patrick Troughton, and what's the other one? And of course, Ruth Baxter from The Trial of a Time Lord, and Ruth from Invasion of the Dinosaurs. You remember Carmen Monroe? She played Madame Edith in Hello Hello, I think it was. She sometimes you saw her in other things like Doctor Who, Dad's Army and stuff. She was in Doctor Who in 1974 in Invasion of Dinosaurs, and she played one of those people that thought they were going to another world. I think you know what I mean. Anyway, that's her. So anyway, that's what links all them on question 3. Right, what links these on question 4? Horror Fang Rock, The Beast Below, and The Haunting of the Villa Diodati, and no others like Night Terrors and Closing Time are close, but don't count them. And the answer is They all end with poetry recitals. Night Terrors and Closing Time end with nursery rhymes being sung. So there's a difference, and that's what connects them, apart from those two. Right, question 5. Here we go. Madagascar, a suite on Galaxy class ship, and Tranquility Spa if all had gone to plan, and Morocco if all had gone to plan. And the answer is they were honeymoon locations or destinations in Perexus. That's about the sort of message about plastic in the Jodie Whittaker episode, and A Christmas Carol, and obviously, in my opinion, I don't like knocking Doctor Who, but I'm afraid this one didn't really caught any eyes for me. I cringe when I watch it, called Orphan 55, and of course a brilliant episode called The Runaway Bride with when Catherine Tate made her debut as Donna Noble. So that's what links them all. Right, moving on to question 6. Hakim's instruction to Alexa. A night in Gabriel Chase, according to the Doctor, Winston Churchill's hand weapon of choice, and the very first word of the Stones of Blood, part 2. So if you watch the Stones of Blood, the very first word will link them all. And the answer is they're all albums by the Beatles. Hakim asks for Rubber Soul. The Doctor says it's been a hard day's night in Ghostlight, and Churchill carries a revolver, which is the album of the Beatles, if you didn't know. Right, so anyway, I think it's called an album or one of the songs. No, it is one of their albums. But anyway, moving on to question 7. Oh, sorry, I haven't finished yet. And in the Wedding of River Song, and the first, that's another one. And the first word in the second episode of the Stones of Blood is help. There you go. If you look at it, you'll see it, you'll hear it. So that's question 6. Moving on to question 7 quickly, because I think I made that too convoluted. So you probably thought, what? Unless you want me to repeat it. All right, I'll repeat it then. I said, what links these? Hakim's instruction to Alexa. A night in Gabriel Chase's, according to the Doctor, Winston Churchill's hand weapon of choice, and the very first word of Stones of Blood, part 2. Right, here we go. I'll read it out so you can understand it again. They're all albums by the Beatles, right? So that's what links them. Hakim asked for Rubber Soul. That's an album. The Doctor says it's been a hard day's night in Ghostlight. Churchill carries a revolver in The Wedding of River Song, and the first word in the second episode of The Stones of Blood is help. Right, so there you have it. Right, question 7. An interplanetary spaceman on a mission, a missing astronaut, and a rude man on a telephone. What links these? Right, the answer is they all have the surname Lang, Lieutenant Hugo Lang. They all have the surname Lang, as Lieutenant Hugo Lang in The Twin Dilemma, Adam Lang in Praxis, and Rude Mr. Lang in The Lodger. Okay, that's what links them. Right, moving on to question 8. Daniel Barton, Walter Simeon, an army captain, a storeholder, and a censorite. What links them all? Right, the answer is they were all portrayed by actors who played the Doctor in comedy sketches. Because I remember this myself, actually. Lenny Henry did a sketch of Doctor Who in his show. Richard E. Grant in The Curse of the Fatal Death. Mark Gatiss, who's wrote for Doctor Who and starred for Doctor Who, was in The Web of Caves with Phil Cornwell in Dead Ringers, and Peter Glaze in Crackerjack. So I'll repeat the answer. They were all portrayed by actors who played the Doctor in comedy sketches. Lenny Henry in his show. They had the site. I'll tell you that one. It was funny. I liked it. It was to do going into the future, and Cybermen are portrayed by Margaret Thatcher and her husband Dennis. It's quite funny. And the UB40s are the race that's been sort of wiped out. Talk about political messaging and a dig at the Tory party. Anyway. Anyway, never mind. Right, if you remember the 1980s, you would understand what that was all about. Right, okay. Right, so that was the Lenny Henry one. Richard E. Grant was in the Curse of the Fatal Death, but he also appeared in Doctor Who properly as Simeon. Remember, he played. It was actually the Great Intelligence that sort of took him over. And Mark Gatiss was in The Web of Caves. That was another sketch. I think it was one of those Easter eggs you get on the DVD of Doctor Who. And also Phil Cornwell, who wrote for Doctor Who, and it was in Dead Ringers, and Peter Glaze in Crackerjack. He's been in, let me see, the Space Museum. That's right. He played one of those Morlocks. I think, you know, when they took over the museum and took over the planet and imprisoned everybody. They're meant to be evil, but they they weren't that evil. I'm telling you, a lot of them wanted to run and get out of there because they were getting killed by the should I say the captives. But you watch that. It's called the Space Museum. It's quite good. The Doctor, William Hartnell's in the Dalek. You know, this it's on a space. It's exhibited on the Space Museum. And it's the one, and he gets out and he says, exterminate, exterminate, and the lid goes up and there's William Hartnell coming out. And it's the one with the four of them are in tubes. So in other words, they hadn't arrived yet, but then eventually, because time stood still for them, they couldn't be seen. Eventually, time started to catch up and they were actually visible to everyone. So that's what the Space Museum was. Anyway, moving on. We're on question, let me just say, question 9 now. What connects these? A nurse fleeing from the cyber wars, the sister of a medical student, and a accursed pirate. What connects these? Right, they were portrayed by members of the cast of TV series Bone Kickers. Ravio played by Julie Graham, Tish Jones played by Gugu, I'm sorry about not getting the pronunciation right, Mabatha, Raw, and Captain Henry Avery played by Hugh Bonneville. There you go. Right, the last one of these, what connects them, is question 10. What paradox do Astrid Perth, or Peth, and C have in common? Obviously, you know, C was played by Stephen. I keep forgetting his name, Blackadder, you know, I do know, but it's just his surname has eluded me at the moment. Anyway, he plays C, as you know, and the other one I was talking about, Astrid, was played by Kylie Minogue in Voyage of the Dam. So anyway, what connects them? Right, I'm going to tell you now. They were played by actors who have mentioned in Doctor Who. Somehow, the Doctor Who universe contains Kylie Minogue, according to the Idiot's Lantern, and Stephen Fry, according to the Husbands of River Song, as well as characters who resemble them, apparently. So they're the 10 questions that I wanted to know what connects them. Right, moving on. I want to know. Let me see. I'm just having a look now. Oh yeah, here we are. I was getting mixed up there for a minute. Right, we have here. I'm going to give you another 10 more questions now. I know I'm a little bit bloody all over the place, and I know I don't make sense sometimes, but it's still entertainment in it, even though you think, what a load of rubbish. I understand that, but I just made this video on the back of doing so much stuff. But like I said, no excuse. If you're going to do a quiz, do it properly and make sure people understand it. So that's why my quizzes are funny. So anyway, I'll never be a question master, I'm telling you that. I'll be crap. So let's get on with it. Question 11, right? What landmark has the Doctor visited for the first time since the City of Death? What landmark has the Doctor visited since the City of Death? That was 1979 with Tom Baker's adventure. And the answer is the Eiffel Tower. I think that's right. What landmark? Yes, the Eiffel Tower. Remember, it was in the I can't think which one it was in. I think it was in one of those series 12. I think, yeah, with the Spy Force something. Second part, the Doctor Jodie Whittaker goes back in time and she meets this French resistance person. I can't remember her name, but it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm rubbish at history anyway. Like I said, names are not. Stephen Fry. Remember, I said Stephen from Blackadder. Yes, it's Stephen Fry. I remembered. Sorry about that. I do apologise. So anyway, the answer is the Eiffel Tower on question 11. Question 12. What weapon was used for the first time since the Mark of the Rani? And the answer is the tissue compression eliminator. Remember that? Right, question 13. What cyber weakness was mentioned for the first time since Nightmare in Silver? Right, and the answer is their allergy to gold, which is true. Cybermen are allergic to gold, and if you put it in their template or whatever, it chokes them to death. As you saw in the Revenge of the Cybermen with Tom Baker, him and the other two jump from the cliff onto the Cybermen who were below them, and they managed to smother the gold into them. But it didn't do it successfully. So one of them had to sacrifice his life because remember they had these bloody time bombs or cyber bot bombs or something, and it was on a timer. And if they tried to remove it, it would blow up. And what one of them did, he sacrificed his life, turned it, and the Cybermen blew up. Tom, the Doctor, and Harry. Was it Harry? No, the other. The Harry was somewhere else. They managed. The two of them got away, and sadly the other one sacrificed himself, knowing that it's either all of them or one of them. So anyway, that was the last time. Right, moving on to question 14. Which indigenous race was mentioned for the first time since the Deadly Assassin? Right, this is question 14. The Shobogans, I think that's how you pronounce it. Oh, sorry. Yes, it is. Shobogans. The Shobogans. Well, I don't know what they are. I'm sure you'll bloody put your comments in. But that's the answer. Shobogans. Unless I'm pronouncing it wrong. I'll tell you how it's spelled. Shobogans. So I might have pronounced it wrong, but I spelled it right. So it's Shobogans. Right, next one, question 15, I think I'm on. Yeah, which character was mentioned for the first time since the Five Doctors? That was when we had William Hundrell, Patrick Troughton, John Pertwee. Tom Baker wasn't going to be in it. He refused to be in it because he just left Doctor Who a few seasons ago and he just didn't want to be typecast. But he did turn up for Longley and signed a few autographs. And of course, the current Doctor then, Peter Davison. And the answer is Barossa. All right? Remember him, President Barossa? Right, question 16. Which character was mentioned for the first time since the Celestial Toymaker, played by Michael Gough in 1965 or 66? And he was the husband of Annika Wills. You remember Annika Wills? She played Polly. That was her husband. Seriously, it was. And I'm sure you knew that anyway. Michael Gough also played. He's played a lot of roles, but you might be more familiar with him playing Alfred, the butler in Batman. Anyway, never mind all that. So that's the answer. Right, question 17. Which historical figure did the Doctor mention for the first time since the Vampires of Venice and then meet a few stories later? The answer is Lord Byron. Lord Byron. Remember him? He was mentioned in the, what was it? I think one of the answers I gave, the Diabota or whatever it's called, some name Chibnall came up with. I think it's to do with Victoria going back in the 17th century where Lord Byron and his friends were telling ghost stories, and it was the lone Cyberman that was in this story. This is where we had the leading up to the Lost Child and the sort of changing of the canon, as it were. But like I said, I mean, Doctor Who can be rewritten, can't it? Doctor Who can be rewritten. It could have a new turn and a twist to it, and could take you completely away from that. I must admit, I didn't like the canon. I didn't like the way they sort of, because with me from the classics, to go into that. it's very hard to accept that that is the direction, and that was the way it was always going to be heading. It isn't, you know. It depends on the writers and the showrunner and the people that run in BBC. It depends on who has their hands on it that will deter what direction it actually goes. It could sort of make this disappear. Seriously, that's the magic of writing. You can make other stories that seem to have because I think Chibnall's done it as a way of saying this is a fixed point in time. Yeah, seriously. So it's a fixed point in time. If you change that, you change everything. No, you don't. You cannot make it a fixed point in time because that story will not stick. Because a lot of people, I must admit, were upset about that, and it's caused a big, massive risk in the fandom. So I'm one of those that don't agree with the way it's gone and everything. I just don't agree. I really stopped watching it, but from Peter Capaldi. When Capaldi had gone up, I decided not to watch it, but I lied. I did watch it. I've caused a few factions with other people, you know, because I liked some of the Jodie Whittaker. They didn't like it at all. So I lost a few friends there, I'm afraid. It doesn't matter. Anyway, it's all history now. Anyway, right. Moving on from that. Right. Where am I? Where are we? Oh yes. Question. I think it is. Yeah. Question 18. Are we at question 8? Yes, we are. Question 18. Which literary character was mentioned for the first time since this is the one I problem pronouncing. It's another Chibnall title. Extremis. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'll do that again. Which literary character was mentioned for the first time since Extremis? Excrement. Oh, never mind. But anyway, the answer is, get it out of the way, Harry Potter. There you go, Harry Potter. Right, question 19. Which literary character was mentioned for the first time since Terror of the Autons, although the character's creation was glimpsed in the 1996 TV movie with Paul McGann? And the answer is, believe it or not, Frankenstein. There you go. Right, and finally we reached question 20. We should have reached it about 5 minutes ago, but I kept on burping on, as I do. So anyway, here we go. Question 20. Which literary character was mentioned whose psychic had been mentioned in Fear Her? I'll repeat that question again. Which literary character was mentioned whose psychic had been mentioned in Fear Her? And the answer is Inspector Morse is psychic being Lewis. There you go. All 20 questions answered. That takes us from 61 to 80. I'm going to be back tomorrow, hopefully at 9 o'clock, for the final part of my Doctor Who Super Quiz. And then I will post the answers up at 6 o'clock the next day. So I hope you've enjoyed it. It has been a bit of a long one. I thought I'd add a bit of entertainment to it, make it a bit more. You don't want to just read questions and just look like this. Hello, my name is Lee Anthony Davis. Boring, boring, boring. Give it a bit of pathos, as they say, so people will enjoy it. They're not interested in your questions, they're enjoying watching you make an idiot of yourself. So anyway, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll post the video up well, no, not post it. I'll be here tomorrow at 9 o'clock with the final part of the Doctor Who quiz from questions 81 to 100. So look after yourselves, and I'll see you then. Bye for now.